Wizard food porn video. I think this is our second one. I did the tomahawk steak a couple weeks back, so definitely check that out if you missed it. But today we are going to do pork chop sandwiches on my new grill. So I'm going to go through the process of marinade. I'm going to go through the grilling, the vegetables that are going to go with it, and then show you the final product when we're done. So before we get started on that, make sure you subscribe, join the Beard Wizard family, and stay up to date on all of the different things that we do on the channel, our music reviews, art, gaming, comic books, and food now, and grilling. So, and soon I will have, hopefully my smoker will be here next week. I'll be putting that together and showing you guys what I think about that and how that all went together. So yeah, we're gonna jump to the marinade process here in a second, and I'll see you on the other side of the camera. All right, so welcome to the Beard Wizard kitchen. You saw a little bit in the intro. It's just a normal kitchen. It's not like all the fancy studio kitchens that a lot of the guys making these videos do. So first thing first, I do want to recommend for anybody getting started with smoking, with grilling, or anything else, this book right here has been a blessing for me. It's got a lot of things from recipes to times, cook temperatures, suggestions, tips, everything else. It's in its 12th or 13th, I don't know, it's been reprinted a lot, but I will put a link in the video description to this book. I would highly recommend you get this book. Regardless of any of the others that you get this book. This will save you a lot of time and questions and effort. So highly recommend this one. And I actually pulled some tips for a marinade out of this one because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So normally when I do a marinade, it's fine to use a store-bought marinade. I usually do buy a good one, don't buy a cheap one. But I don't have any pork marinade, so I got to make some. So when I got to start making a pork marinade, there's a couple things that you want. You want to think about the flavors you want. You need an acid, you need an oil, and you usually need some sort of filler or binder to put all that together for multiple reasons. You want it to flavor the meat. It does make the meat softer or a little more tender. To marinate it, the acid will break down the fibers of the meat and make it a little softer, a little easier to eat. And then for my filler, I tend to use beer in most of my marinades because it just adds more flavor. It's just a better way to do it. I don't measure anything. A lot of your marinade recipes tell you to measure stuff. I don't do that. By all means, if you feel the need to measure stuff, go ahead and measure. So I will pour pretty much an entire can or bottle. I like dark beers when I'm doing stuff like this. There's just more flavor in them. So we'll put a whole can of dark beer in there. And then for our oil, I use olive oil. And again, I don't measure. I don't know how much you're supposed to use. I just use whatever I think is right. And then for my acid, I'm going to use balsamic vinegar. You can use apple cider vinegar, white vinegar. It doesn't really matter. Vinegar makes a really good acid. Helps break down the meat. And then you get into some flavorings. So mustard already has some vinegar in it, but it also has some flavor. Some people like to use kind of a sweet Dijon mustard. I'm using a spicy brown mustard. When I'm doing pork, I like sweet and heat with my flavors. So I want to get that spice of that spicy brown mustard in there. Little Worcestershire sauce. Whenever I do meat, almost any meat, Worcestershire sauce goes really good with that. And then this is the rub I'm actually going to use on the pork. So I'm going to put this in the marinade as well. It's only going to help add a little bit more flavor to it. So I'm just going to put, I don't know, a couple tablespoons worth in there. Then we're going to mix that up really good. Now I wanted to use, splash that on the counter. I wanted to use some molasses for a little extra sweet. And we're out, which is no big deal. I can add a little bit of brown sugar to this if I wanted to. Honey would also work really well, but I like the rich flavor of molasses when I'm sweetening things up. So I'm going to mix that really good. And now our pork chop sandwiches are being made with some tenderized, very thin cuts of pork chop. So I don't need to marinate these for very long, maybe an hour. So your marinade times are going to vary depending on how thick and what type of meat it is. But when you're doing something real thin cut, you don't want to marinate for very long because you don't want the meat to get soggy either. So you really want to watch that. So we're just going to put it in a plastic bag. One thing you do not want to do is marinate in anything that's reactive. So when you put your meat in something, put it in plastic, put it in glass, stainless steel is fine, but other types of materials may react with the acid and give you an off flavor or a weird reaction. So you don't want to put it in anything else. So this is going to go back in the fridge. Then we're going to get the grill started. We'll pull these out in about an hour when they're ready to go on. And then we'll see you out at the grill. All right, so we're back here out at the grill, and I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the vegetables. Not the star of our show, but they are an important part of the meal. So I got the coals started. If you watched my last couple of videos talking about, starting these in a chimney, getting them good and ashy before you dump them into the coal bed. Now I did throw some extra coals on because, again, doing some of the vegetables that I do, they take longer than the meat, so I don't want to lose temp while the vegetables are cooking. So we're starting with Brussels sprouts. We're actually doing sprouts, yellow squash, and onion. The Brussels sprouts take longer, so they're going on first. They're going to take about 35 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to give these some time on the grill, and then I will bring out the other vegetables and put them on. Squash cooks really fast, so when you're considering vegetables with your meal, with whatever you're grilling, always make sure you take into account how long they take and plan for that. Some vegetables like Brussels sprouts take longer. Squash, onions, mushrooms, they don't take nearly as long. Corn on the cob takes about 35 to 40 minutes depending on how you're cooking that. So always account for that kind of stuff when you're doing it, and try to time it appropriately. So we'll be back here a little bit later with the rest of the vegetables, and then the pork chops, which are the star of our show. We'll see you back here in a little bit. All right, we're back out at the grill. The veggies are going. I realized I forgot to tell you. So on the vegetables today, I put on just salt and pepper, garlic powder, and Parmesan cheese. Not a whole lot. You don't want to go crazy with it. You don't want to overpower the vegetables. You want them to taste like they're supposed to taste. So you don't want to go crazy with all that. So now we've got to be quick because these are thin cut pork chops. So I got my meat hook. I love this thing. Get you one of these. I'll put a link in the video description. But these are real thin, so we got to be quick. We're talking like 5-7 minutes on a side, and even that, I may have to use the tongs because these are so thin. So you want to get those on there, and we're going to leave them again for about 5-7 minutes. You can see that marinade. So these things sat in the marinade for about an hour, and then I got them out when I started the coals and let them come up to room temp, and I dusted them with my dusted them with the rub that I was going to use on them, and let them sit and let them kind of soak up that rub and that marinade and kind of get all congealed and juicy on there. And so we're going to leave those again for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we're going to turn them, and they should only need one turn. We'll leave them again for about 5 or 7 minutes on that other side, depends on how quickly they cook in those coals. And then we're going to transfer them actually up to the top rack to continue to stay hot while we toast the buns that these are going on. So I'm going to go inside, I'm going to get the buns ready, and then we'll come back out here, we'll flip those things, and I'll be back with you when we're ready to put the buns on so you can kind of see what these things look like when they're getting close to being done. So, and I stirred the vegetables. So we're going to close this back up and let them cook. Be back in a little bit. All right, we're back out at the grill. And so these guys have been on for about 12, 14 minutes. I already flipped them. And like in one of my grilling hacks reaction videos, we talked about sticking to the grate. These guys didn't stick to the grate because I'm cooking at the right temperature and I seasoned my grill. Vegetables are looking good. They're almost done. And the coals are almost running out. So like I said, you got to prepare for that time. A whole chimney's not quite long enough for doing vegetables with your meat. Sorry, the shaky video. I'm trying to switch hands while I'm doing this. All right, so we are actually going to take these guys. Yeah, they look really good. See, no sticking. They look really good on that side. So they're going to go up here on the warming rack, away from the heat. I'm actually going to put them over on this side. I want them to continue to stay hot and cook, but I don't want them to sear anymore. And I'm finding that this hook is great for steak, not so good for thin pork chops. So we're going to put that down. We're going to grab our tongs. All right. Remember, what do we do with tongs? Click 3 times, because the ancients said so. All right, so when I'm doing burgers, sandwiches, anything on the grill, if I have time and heat, those vegetables look great. Not too burnt. You want them still crunchy. You don't want to overcook your vegetables on the grill. So you want to time it pretty good. You still want them to be crunchy. All right, so we're going to toast the buns. Why not, right? We have all this extra heat. So we're going to put these buns right over the coals. And I just got some long, I think these are just called steak sandwich buns. I don't know. I just got some long sandwich rolls. And we're going to put them right over the coals. And then we're going to close it up for a little bit. Alright, so to recap while that's doing that, we're going to leave those on for about 30-45 seconds. We're going to talk a little bit about, so we marinated the pork chops. Now these are thin cut, cubed pork chops. The butcher tenderized them before I bought them. You can tenderize them yourself. Is just fine too, but you want thin cut pork chops for sandwiches. We marinated those for about an hour in your favorite marinade. You can use what I did, or you can use whatever marinade you like. It does not matter. And then I threw on just some store-bought rub. I'm actually out of my own personal rub. I need to make some more. So I have a store-bought backup when I'm out, when I don't have any, that I threw on them. And then we put them on the grill for about 7 minutes aside. Now the vegetables have been cooking for about 40 minutes. That's a good time for most vegetables, like Brussels sprouts. The onions and squash have been on for about a half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. All right, so those buns should be starting to toast up for us. And now you just got to check them. You don't want to burn them. Some are going to be a little more done than others because of the heat. So yeah, this one's pretty toasty on one end. We're just going to flip her around. Same thing with that one. We're just going to flip it around. I'm a big fan of, sorry, I don't have all that in the shot. Still getting used to the new gimbal, the new recording stuff. I'm a big fan of doing everything you can on the grill. I'll cook a whole dinner on the grill if I can do it. And you can cook anything on a grill. If you don't believe me, challenge me. Put something in the comments you don't think I can cook on a grill. I've baked bread. I've made cobbler. I can cook anything on a grill. This is just an oven that works on a different type of fuel. So we're going to give those buns another few seconds. We don't want to burn them. And we'll see how they look. And I'm serious, in the comments, if you guys think of something that you don't think can be cooked on a grill, put it on the comments. We'll see. Maybe you'll find something that's perfect. Maybe you'll find something that I can't grill or don't think I can grill. But I'd be surprised, because I've grilled a lot on, or I've cooked a lot on a grill. Biscuits. That's pretty good. I keep losing them. That's pretty good. See, that's what you want right there. You don't want it burnt. Perfect. There's Ripley giving her 2 cents. So that's what you want right there. So we're going to throw those pork chops on there. We're going to take the vegetables inside and we're going to finish this meal off. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to show you me eating it. It's going to be delicious anyway, but you guys don't want to see me eat this. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, whatever, I'm going to put these right over the heat for a second. Let me know in the comments. Ask questions. If I skipped something or glossed over something that you want to know more about, you let me know. And we will see you guys all at the next video. Thank you very much. Much love. Bye.